You're a beginning investor, or maybe you are an aspiring investor. You have 0 units. The question is, and we get this question all the time, do I start by buying a single family house or maybe a small duplex? Or do I skip that step and I go straight to larger properties? What do you think, Gabe? What's your answer?
My answer is yes and yes. You find what works for you and you do it. Look, I am always conflicted when I get asked the question, like, if you were to do it all over again, would you start small? So I started with single family. I was house hacking those single family homes, my first couple homes. I lived in one room, rented out the other room. So I had 3 single family homes. Then I scaled the small multifamily, bought a ton of small multifamily, like 2 to 10 units. Now I own, $65 million worth of real estate spread out among, multifamily, mixed use apartments, mobile home parks, triple net commercial. So like the question I get asked all the time, like, would I do it the same or would I start bigger sooner? I don't know. And I'm always conflicted because I feel like, yes, the easy answer is, yeah, I would have gone, bigger sooner. However, I feel like those small deals also gave me the experience and confidence to do the next one. So my first real estate deal gave me the confidence and experience to do the second one and the third one. My first seller finance multifamily property gave me the confidence and experience to do the next one and the next one and the next one. My first mobile home park deal gave me the confidence and experience to do the next and the next. So I wish I had a better answer. I don't know, Travis, what do you think?
Well, I think your answer is a cop-out. You sound like a politician. Yes and yes. No. You mentioned knowing what I know, or if you could go back and do it again, would you go straight to larger properties? Well, that's kind of a trick question because of course I would. I know that with a larger property, I can add $1 million in upside in 1 year. I know I can force appreciate that asset. I know I can generate outsized cash flow, risk-adjusted returns. I have enough cash flow to pay for property management. No, I'm getting to the but.
But you have that experience and knowledge today. You have that experience and knowledge today.
Knowing what I know now, but when I was buying my first property, I didn't know that. And I certainly didn't have the confidence or the expertise or the experience or the mindset to do it. So it's easy for Travis today to say, well, of course I would buy larger properties. The economic impact is phenomenal. However, to your point, 99% of the people probably go down the same route we did. It was a single family house. It was another single family house for me. It was a duplex. It was a small triple net office building. And then it was a mobile home park. And sort of I took off from there. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think had I not bought that for a single family house and had a vacancy and then rented it out and started seeing some cash flow, it wouldn't give me the confidence or the notoriety to go to the duplex or to go to the small office building. So I think honestly, if I had a gun to my head and I had to pick one way or the other, I would probably say start small because that's going to give you the experience. And that's more than anything, it gives you the confidence like, oh, okay, hold my beer. I can actually do this.
You're saying the same thing I'm saying. That it gives you the confidence and experience.
No, but I picked one. I said, if I had a gun to my head, I would say start small. However, we've got...
I thought you were going to say definitely go big. That's what I thought you were going to say.
If 22-year-old Travis had the brain that I have now, I would absolutely do it. If I had the knowledge and I knew what I could do, I would absolutely do it. But I didn't. And rarely do people have that. And they get sort of paralyzed because they spend years and years and years maybe trying to find that big property. And they're too afraid to pull the trigger because they didn't go through those confidence gates. They didn't go through those various steps where they had the confidence to advance to larger properties. But we have 2 sisters in our elite mastermind, the 0 to 100 elite mastermind. And we had this, they've been with us for a couple of years. We followed their journey. And when they first started out, they were looking for small plexes. And they're like, but the more they were in our group and they were around other people doing big things and they saw the economic results and the lifestyle results and the cash flow, they were like, nope, we're not going small because they were underwriting deals with us. They were underwriting larger deals. They were speaking the language. They were understanding these concepts like forced appreciation and cash flow and creative seller financing and those types of things. So they were like, well, forget it. Then they started looking at small 10-unit multifamily and they were doing that. And then they were like, still expense ratios are really high. I feel like it's not big enough to sort of achieve the goals we want. So their first deal was a 40-unit mobile home park 2,000 miles away. And it's created several $1,000s a month in cash flow and they're off to the races. So yeah, they skipped. But if you're like the Lone Ranger and you're solo like you were and like I was when we first started, I think that's a great way to start. If you get around though a crew of people that are doing big things, I would be willing to bet that your mindset could potentially shift and you might skip those steps and go larger.
I think what you just said is the key, right? Like when we got started, I know when I got started, I had no one around me in real estate. I knew nobody in real estate, no one with money, no one in business. Like I didn't have a group of people around me to say, yeah, go bigger, right? Like, so a lot of it was just a mind expansion thing. Like my mind could wrap my head around a single family home. House hacking. It just made good financial sense. My mind, I could wrap my mind around small multifamily. The first time I went to a paid event in 2012, I got around people and there was amazing speakers. I mean, Robert Kiyosaki was there. His wife was there. All his advisors were there, right? So like the speakers were amazing, but it was the other people in the room that were doing deals that owned hundreds of units. And I realized when I got around other people doing bigger deals, it actually expanded my mind, expanded my belief and possibility that I could do that as well. And I actually think that's the ultimate hack, because for many years, oftentimes investors are kind of on this like solo journey. They're just kind of doing their thing. And some of it is like actionable things. Like you get around people that are doing what you want to do at a bigger, higher level, then you realize the conversation's a little bit different, but you also realize, well, that's just a normal guy. That's just a normal woman that had a bigger vision and they went for it and they did it. And it's actually not that much harder. And oftentimes buying bigger deals are actually easier. We have tons of podcast episodes on why it's easier to buy bigger deals. But I think the ultimate hack and the ultimate way to expand your mind is getting around people that are investing in real estate in a large way. I mean, I met a guy once that did a 300 unit apartment complex. He syndicated the 300 unit apartment complex for his first deal. And I'm like, well, that's fucking crazy. But he was around people that were doing that all the time. So he believed it was possible for him. And then it was.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I think the fastest way to stagnate with anything, whether it's sports or life or music or business or investing, is to be the guy or the girl in the room that's doing the biggest thing, right? Or exactly. So if you want to scale, you need to first expand your mindset. And I think the easiest way to do that is get in rooms where people are doing bigger things than you. It's uncomfortable. If you feel like you're the imposter, then you're in the right room. And so like, we'll do that. We'll like, okay, well, when we first started that first mobile home park that we did, I went from a duplex to a 40 pad mobile home park, scared the crap out of me. And that became the normal, right? And then we got around people that were doing 50 units and 60 units. And now we're taking down 80 to 100 plus units. And that feels real normal to me. But if I wanted to raise a fund and take down several thousand units, I'm not necessarily doing that, then I would get in rooms where people are doing that and people are having success and they're sharing their tips and tricks. That's great. You learn a lot of the strategies, you learn a lot of the math, you learn the language, but probably that's easy stuff. I mean, it's simple math. I think probably the most impactful is the mindset shift that you get when you're surrounding yourself with these types of people. And I think you have to do that. If you want to do something big, you got to do that.
Well, and some of it is pay to play. Like there are free rooms, right? Like I don't remember if I shared this on a previous podcast episode, or this was a conversation I was having with someone recently. But I went to the local RIA like a long time ago, and like 10 years later, I went back to it. And it was like the same people having the same conversations with the same little problems that they were having a decade before. And sometimes you pay to, yeah, right. So it's when you pay to get in a room, like that mastermind or that event I went to in 2012 was the first time I paid for an event. It was like $5,000 to go. And I was like, man, $5,000 for an event. But the information has made me millions, right? And so it's like, are you willing to pay $5,000, $10,000, $20,000? There's $50,000. Like, would you pay $50,000 for $5 million of information? Like, who wouldn't do that? And I know for me, it was a perspective. I had to change my perspective. I had to grow out of, I really had to grow out of a scarcity mindset and into an abundant mindset, and realizing the value you can get and the timeline you can compress by getting around people that are already doing the thing will save you years, decades. And potentially a lot of money by getting around people that are already doing it.
They're like, Gabe, yeah, don't step in that giant steamy pile of poop. I did that and it sucked. So walk around it. And you're like, oh, I just saved, $100,000 in mistakes right there, or years of lost time. You mentioned that it's compression. Also, so there's two pieces to it. And you say this all the time. One is, yeah, I'm getting in rooms. These people are expanding my mindset. But the other thing you're seeing is that they're taking action. And I think we can sit around and we can woo ourselves to death, and we can meditate, and we can cold plunge, and we can whatever the hell people do every morning these days. But at the end of the day, it's people that are taking action. You're in this room and you're like, oh, this person underwrote 50 deals this month, or 20 deals or 25 deals. They put offers on 10 of those deals, and they closed on a deal. And this deal was 50 units, 100 units, 200 units. And this is the economic impact. And it, whether you like it or not, getting around action takers makes you want to take action. Now, calculated, responsible action, but you got to take action. You can expand your mindset all day long, and like I said, woo yourself to death. But at the end of the day, you gotta start making moves. And so, if someone's listening to this game and they're like, "Well, what is the first move? I want to take action. What do I do? What do I do? I have zero. I want, you know what feels good to me? I want to buy a fourplex. I think that feels good to me to start. I own my own single family house. I've got some equity in it. I think a fourplex would be a great next step. I dial that in. I learn property management. I learn how the thing cash flows. And then from there, I'm off to the races. Maybe it's a 20 unit. Maybe it's a 25 unit. What do you do?
Yeah, obviously the next step would be to join our elite mastermind. I mean, come on, that's a given.
That's that was a layup for you, bud.
Yeah, that was a layup. I think back, like when I started investing, I went through periods of time where it was educate myself as much as possible, network as much as possible, and then take action. I mean, you nailed it with the action piece. You can have all the information in the world. Like I had an old classmate. We had met up, I don't know, maybe 10 years after we graduated high school. Maybe it was longer than that. He had read all the same books, listened to all the same podcasts. He had some experience in property management, but didn't take action. I'm like, dude, you have to take fucking action. Meanwhile, I had purchased millions of dollars for the real estate. So the knowledge is important and the network is important. But you talking about action, it just reminds me how it is so important. So, I mean, here's a good example. I had a contractor at my house. He's a good friend of mine. He was building a porch outside of my bedroom. We actually took the window off, turned it into French doors out to this balcony. So it's really fucking awesome space now. But he was like, hey, I heard about this old motel that was converted to something else, but it's an opportunity. Now he has a skill set to convert it. He went that next day and looked at it. So he's like, to me, that's an action taker. A lot of people would go, oh, there's an opportunity. He's like, I talked to the owner. He's actually willing to take this price so much less. He's like, I'm going to go drive out there tomorrow. Hey, is there a lender? Do you know a lender? Would you want to finance this thing? Do you want to partner on this thing? So I think of that as an action taker. Here's a guy with this. Why don't he just was yesterday? This was yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was my whole point. The day before he told me about it. And then the next day he went out and looked at it because he sees it as an opportunity. So that excites me. I'm like, oh, I might partner on that with you. Why? Well, I know he has a skill set because he's done a lot of construction work for me. He's a strong level of integrity. So he's a trustworthy person, but he's also a fucking action taker. The fact that he tells me about it, talks to the owner. He's already talking to the owner about seller financing. And then he drives out there to the property the next day. And it's that's the piece that I think people don't do. They go, oh, this is interesting. This is an opportunity. What do you think? Well, I don't know. What do you think? Go to the property, call the broker, call the seller.
Think about it. They'll opine on it. They'll just think about it and they'll run maybe numbers and run numbers and then never do anything. Something else too that I think really helps. And I did this when I first started. You did this. Start talking to a lot of people. You mentioned that he just started, pick up the damn phone, have a conversation, get out behind email, get out behind Crexy or LoopNet, get out behind your spreadsheet and just start having conversations with people. Talk to sellers, talk to banks. I know our friend Brandon Turner says this all the time, especially if you're going back to sort of the tactical pieces of what do you do to buy that first fourplex. He says investing in real estate, especially that first deal, is like a series of 5-minute tasks. Right. And he says it better than I am because he's got the beard and he's smarter than me. But basically he says in that particular scenario, I want to buy a fourplex. Okay. What what do you do? I don't know. Maybe I call a lender. Maybe I call a few lenders. Maybe I call some local credit unions. Maybe I understand what I can finance. Maybe I pick up the phone and call 2 or 3 brokers. Tell them exactly what I'm looking at. Narrow down your buy box. I'm looking for a 4-plex with this age, this vintage, this tenant class in this particular location. Tell people what you want to do. Talk to brokers, talk to lenders. And out of those conversations, you're going to learn a lot more. You're going to learn or talk to the sellers, right? You're going to learn maybe the price can be better. You're going to realize that maybe you qualify for more debt so you can buy a nicer asset. Maybe you talk to brokers and you find out that there are assets that are available immediately. Or maybe you find out that there's another section of town that's maybe in the path of progress that might be a better buy for you. He's like, yeah, that's great. You want to buy that location. Have you thought about this location? There's inventory here. Your price point's different. Your cash flow profile is going to be more. Appreciation is going to be better. But you would not know any of these things. You wouldn't know what you're qualified to buy. You wouldn't have information on particular locations and different asset classes. Or you talk to the broker and he's like, you know what, man, that's crazy. You just had this conversation with me. I have a guy that just called me, and I actually had this. One of our first mobile home parks, we were just talking to brokers and we're like, I just picked up the phone. Actually, a partner of mine picked up the phone and called this broker and said, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is my buy box. And he goes, dude, are you bugging my office? I just got a call from the seller who's in it, wants to do a 1031 exchange. He's got a 40 pad park, all paved roads, city utilities, all tenant on home. He's willing to sell it at a $300,000 delta or haircut, because he knows he can pull the equity out of that and he's going to roll it into like a 4 or 5 park portfolio, and his economic impact's going to be way higher. So he wants a fast close. We bought that park, but had we not had these conversations with people and just started talking to people, you don't know anything, and you're not going to get that level of insight sitting behind a spreadsheet or a keyboard.
Yeah, you got to open your mouth. Like when I give that advice to people, it's amazing. It's amazing that once they open their mouth, I think it's like it's 2-part. Like even before the action and even the knowledge, like if you're excited about something, about anything, like you're going to attract people that are excited as well and excited for you. And I think back to like when I was so excited about real estate, like I couldn't shut up about it. It became part of the conversation. Like that's how I found my second property, was because I wouldn't shut up about it with the guys I was lifting with at the gym. And then one of them's like, hey, my buddy's dad's selling his house. Like, and that's the second house I ever bought. Right. And so it's like, I look back and think, because I have the willingness to open my mouth and tell people what I'm looking for, that's where the majority of my deals come from. And it's not always an agent or a broker or someone even real estate related, but it's like, if you're excited about it and you're telling people, will be like, I don't have a network. Well, it's like, you haven't told anyone that you want to invest in real estate. I don't know anyone. Yeah. I don't know anyone that is like got excited about real estate and started telling people about their excitement and how they're going to invest in real estate that haven't been able to attract all these real estate related conversations and potential opportunities into their life because they were excited and they were willing to open their mouth and talk about what excited them.
I love that story. I think you talk about where you're having dinner, maybe was it a Thai food restaurant? And same, you were opening your mouth. You're just saying, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm looking for. And was it the server or the owner of the restaurant was like, oh, actually, interesting. You should say that. There's this property behind the restaurant, et cetera, et cetera. And you ended up buying that, right? It was like a really good deal for you.
I'll give you the quick story. So this was actually a single family home. And yes, there was a restaurant that I used to frequent. And the owner of actually before she even owned the restaurant, she had a food cart that I used to go to. It was this little vegan food cart. And then she opened a vegan restaurant. And she said, hey, this house behind me, which was boarded up.
Vegan restaurants, your love language.
Yeah. It was my love language. Yeah, they even had a Gabriel button there at one point that was worked into this deal, so I had free food there. I'll get there. I'll try to make this short, because I know we're trying to wrap this up. So, yes, I had known her for years, but not like we didn't talk often. I would just come in there and eat, and we would chat. And she followed me online, and she knew I invested in real estate. And she said, "Hey, the house behind this restaurant, it's boarded up. One of the partners passed away. I would love to buy it. I'm not in a position to buy it. You should buy it." So I call the owner, and he's like, hey, my partner on the property died. He kind of handled all the management side of things. Like, I need to wait till title clears and then I'll sell you the property. And I was like, okay, yeah, right. Well, months later, he called me back and said, hey, we got all the title stuff taken care of. If you're interested, what will you offer me? And I said, I don't know. I got to go inside. It's a little house on this little lot. And he's like, no, I'm not letting anyone inside. So I offer him $30,000. This is in a neighborhood of probably like $250,000 to $300,000 properties.
That price? Are you just like 30,000?
Literally out of my ass. Like, I'm like, okay, worse. Well, he said, I won't let you in the property. It's a small lot and small house. So it's like boarded up, and he's going, I'm not going to let you in. I'm thinking to myself, all right, there's either dead bodies or a meth lab. Like this house is cooked. I mean, but $30,000, the lot value is worth more than that. And he says, okay. Well, now I'm thinking, oh shit, he just agreed to $30,000. There is definitely like something going on in there, right? And even like the title company, like they knew the seller. They're like, oh, you bought this thing? And I'm thinking, what am I missing? But I was willing to risk the $30,000. So I paid $30,000. I close on the deal. I go there with my contractor. He starts taking the boards off the windows. Brand new windows, taking the board off the door, brand new door. I go in there. This ends up being like a cosmetic fixer. I put like 20 grand into it. So I'm like into this thing 50 grand, kept it for a rental for quite a few years. The thing rented for like $1,600 a month. And then I sold it a few years back for like $250K. So it's, like there's a lot more. I guess there wasn't that much more to it, but this was because I told the owner of a vegan restaurant that I invest in real estate. She knows I invest in real estate, and I bought a $30,000 house in a $300,000, $300,000 market, had this great rental for all these years, and then sold the thing for $250 because I opened my mouth and let the world know that I invest in real estate and what I was looking for. It was an absolute win.
Well, you think about asymmetric risks on that, right? You think about it, okay, maybe, I don't know if you had this line of thinking, but it was like, okay, worst case scenario, it's like condemned. You gotta scrape the house. It's a meth lab. It's you scrape it. Maybe that costs, I don't know what that costs anymore, maybe $10,000 to scrape this little house back in those days. So now you're into it $40,000. Well, what could you sell the lot for? Even if you sold the lot for $30,000, maybe you're out $10K. Yeah, that sucks, but that's an asymmetric risk. The likelihood of there being a 5X upside, which is what you got, or at least some upside, is a lot higher than there would be downside on something like that. So
yeah, I collected cash flow for like, I don't know, 5-6 years. I don't remember how long I owned this thing for, and then sold it for, multiples of what I paid for. So I absolutely looked at it like that. I walk in this thing and I'm like, wow, new windows. Wow, the floors are in great shape. Wow, most of the bathroom and kitchen are in decent shape. Like, let's go.
Yeah, home run. Well, so if you're wanting to get started in real estate, even if it's a small plex or something like that, start talking to people.
Open your mouth.
Tell everybody what you're up to. Take a series of 5-minute tasks. Start talking to brokers. Start talking to lenders. Let people know what you're up to. Get out there and then, get the knowledge. Get around the right people that are doing what you want to do and start taking some action.